Team 8, OneNote and Sharepoint, the basis for interactive small group experiences. Can we talk? Is this? Team members are Anna Campbell, Katrina Wilson, and John Olson from SOMA. Come on down. You got 10 minutes to make your pitch. You're on.
Woo. Hey guys, how you guys doing this evening? I didn't know we'd be the most popular talk because they said, you guys can't wait to hear you because you're going last, right? I said, yeah.
All right. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. Small groups are the cornerstone of the educational experience at SOMA. Twice a week, 8 to 10 students gather with a faculty member to discuss patient cases. This is a crucial time to have collaboration as well as integrate basic science, osteopathic practices and principles, and clinical reasoning. I could tell you more about it, or I could just show you.
So, to recap what you just saw. The typical experience of small group at SOMA really depends on interactions between a facilitator, typically one of our clinical or basic science faculty, and a small group of students. And there's a dynamic discussion that can ensue, but the discussion is centered around content, and that content is currently delivered via PowerPoint. Now I'm going to show you a couple example slides from a very recent small group case. Here we go. Just this past course, we had a small group where this is how the content was delivered. And I know everyone has seen good and bad PowerPoint slides, and well, I think our small groups, we have room for improvement. So, we had an idea. We saw the Spark Tank as an opportunity to implement an innovative technology platform. So we still want to have the central element of the small group experience be that discussion piece, that interaction between the clinical faculty member or basic scientist and our medical students. But that content piece, what we envision is we want a system that will make multimedia content easily accessible for everyone who's engaged in that experience. We want them to be able to interact with that content in meaningful ways, and we want to be able to archive these interactions for later retrieval so that students can continue to access this content for their learning. So what would make up this technology platform? Well, two pieces. OneNote, which is essentially, if you're not familiar with it, an online digital notebook. That's the best way to envision it. And then Sharepoint. So organizations can use Sharepoint to basically create internal websites to organize content and archive it and make it widely available to users within the organization. So the objectives of our pitch, what we would like to do is pilot the use of Sharepoint and OneNote for engaging small groups here at SOMA. We would like to create a SharePoint online collaborative site to archive this content for later retrieval. As we do this, we can evaluate the process and learn how implementing this technology platform enhances student learning outcomes, and we can evaluate perceptions of that experience with this technology platform available. And then we want to share these results with the university because we believe there's lots of opportunity for this technology platform to be utilized in SOMA and in other programs. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Olson, who's going to tell you a little bit more about these pieces of technology.
So the primary technology we'll be using will be an inside website called Sharepoint. This is part of the Microsoft Office suite, and this allows individuals with access to it to share documents, materials, OneNote notebooks, and files. And once this is completed and built into place, all of the archived content from all of these small groups can easily be kept, students can access it very quickly, and even more importantly, the faculty can go inside of here and create better content quite easily. So once the content is created, it will be created in these OneNote notebooks. And the OneNote notebooks are essentially digital notepads. They can accept type, they can accept pictures, and when a picture is brought in from the outside, the system will actually tag where the picture came from and put the appropriate links into it. It will also allow you to bring in materials like Wikipedia. And when Wikipedia comes in, all the links inside of Wikipedia will still remain active within the OneNote digital notebook. So all these pieces, as you put inside of there, can be containers for audio, can be containers for video. These systems can be used over and over again, and as the students build their own digital notebook, these notebooks can be used later for studying for things like the COMLEX and for other materials. Everything placed inside of a OneNote notebook is searchable. So you have a 1 terabyte notebook for every student, and everything they put in it is organized and searchable for later materials. And as they use these particular notebooks, we should be able to actually leverage these abilities for OneNote and SharePoint to give better delivery systems to the content for our students. So no longer will they need so many papers, so many documents laying around, and their stuff will be scattered all over the place. They should centralize all of the small group cases, and they should be able to centralize all their learning. And even more importantly, as different students have different preceptors for these particular sessions inside the small group, it will allow students that don't see a professor for one of the small groups to actually check the archived content and see what they not only was using as their content to give, but what the students used as notes, what the professor wrote. It's like photocopying the blackboard as they go along. And this system is already implementable here at ATSU. What we need is access to OneNote. The OneNote system is on the cloud servers, and we already have access to this because we already have access to Microsoft 365. For every faculty member and student gets a license for this. We also need a license for SharePoint, and that also came with ATSU's ability to use Microsoft Office 365. We also need the students to have any version of operating system to access OneNote. This is not only accessed by Windows material, it's accessed by every other system. iPad, your cell phone, anything that can get attached to the internet should be able to actually interact with OneNote itself. But what we're asking for now to put this together is to give the facilitators an actual tablet that they can write on. And as they write on this tablet, it will be reflected on the screens inside of the room itself. As they write on this tablet, what they write will be shared to all the students in that room immediately. And as the students write on their document, they can share it with the instructor. So everybody in the room has an active copy of the document they're working on. It is the equivalent of everyone in the room having their own chalkboard, and that chalkboard is shared by everybody. Are there any questions?
Well done. Woo! Thank you, Anna, Katrina, and John. Wow, that was really awesome. Judges, questions? Bob.
You know, I've tried to use this OneNote thing myself, and it looks simple, but it sounds to be effective. I think people need some training on these things. And I noticed you didn't build any training time for students or faculty in how to use these things. Is that something that's done adjunctly to this?
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. We have a Basic Science Foundation course for the class of 2019. The class of 2019 is fully trained in the use of OneNote right now, and some of the materials they have put together are very nice, better than stuff I've ever used before. The class of 2019 is using OneNote right now. They're sharing documents from the system. They're actually sharing the notes from their lectures from other people. And they built these sites so that the students know how to use this. And faculty training should be pretty quick on this because we can help them build these OneNote documents. And as these documents are built, they can be archived and used later to carry some momentum from small group session to small group session.
Sweet. Great. Ted, and then we'll get to Beth.
Do you guys have a curation strategy? I can imagine that after, 6, 8, 12 months, you're going to have, a massive number of these. Is there an organizational strategy that you have in mind?
The nice thing about the organization strategy of SharePoint is it used to be that you would build these particular documents in file folders. On your computer, you'd have a file folder for this and another file folder under that, and eventually it all breaks down. As you see the G drive for ATSU being filled with all sorts of things impossible to find. This is what SharePoint's designed to do. It is enterprise-grade software. So once a document is put in SharePoint, you do not put it in a folder. You will just simply ask for small groups, 2019, and it will bring you a web page just like a Google document with all of these listed. A good example of this is a Dropbox. You've seen that where they share files. If you had to look on your computer for a file in Dropbox and you had a terabyte of material, it would take about 45 seconds. To search 100 terabytes of material in SharePoint takes less than 10 milliseconds. So searching is how we actually put materials in order. You'd simply say small group cases, put the year in it, and all of them would be listed with a preview on the right-hand side of what's in that particular file. It's a very nice way of storing things.
Wow, great. Beth, I think, and then we'll get to Norm.
Yeah. So all the students in the various small groups are looking at the same case, correct?
Correct.
So as a student and knowing how some students tend to kind of get overwhelmed, I'm in one small group. I have my notes. I've got my preceptor's notes, but I'm going to go look at all the other 9 now. And I'm I'm spending a lot more time and energy now thinking I've got to look at all 10 of these presentations.
Actually, the students are a little bit smarter than that. They will understand that.
They're smarter than me.
Me too.
If you think about it this way, if you're in a small group and the person leading your small group is a recognized expert in that field, your small group's going to be very good. On the other hand, small groups led by another clinical faculty member who may still be a great faculty member but not the expert in that field, I would probably not watch all 9 or 10 of the small groups. I would ask the rest of my friends and use the OneNote system. They say, oh, by the way, the small group with Dr. X was fabulous. And use that one as the basis for this. And as this is built into it, next year when the small groups occur, the person who's in charge of small groups can look at where the student said, this one's the best one of the bunch, look at that one and use that to build the next year's cases. Always get better.
Norman, and then up to Mike.
This is a follow-up to Bob Yule's question, that it's good to know that the class of 19 are trained in using OneNote. What about the SOMA faculty being trained in OneNote? How are they trained right now, and would it require additional money in order to train the faculty?
The problem with this is none of our faculty even know they have an Office 365 account available for them for free.
Fundamentals.
Yes.
So there is a steep learning curve.
Yeah. Actually, I will let Anna, I have been a OneNote diplomat for years, and I believe it's the best program ever, and I finally got Dr. Campbell to use it.
So I can speak to my experience just briefly. Because when Dr. Olson was touting all the benefits of using this program up front, I think I had new software fatigue, and I kind of said, I just don't know that I want to spend the time to learn this. But he was advocating and finally suggesting we should implement the use of this for our students. And I bit the bullet and I said, okay, let me sit down with you and just really try and wrap my head around what this piece of software can do. I probably spent 10 or 15 minutes sitting with you as you were just showing me the basics. And I had a light bulb moment of, oh, okay, I thought this was much more complicated than it actually is. And I'm now using this product to author a textbook with collaborators that are across the country. And it's
Very
the most
cool.
amazing way to organize all the content. So
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think, Mike, you got that was a question. Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much. What a great presentation. Well done. Thank you. You're a great small group.